Hey everybody, this is Patrick Durkin, and I'm joined today by Nico Martins, and of course, we've got a new friend here. I'm
New friend, Charles.
I'm
No, I don't have a name.
That's right. You'll have to be,
I
Jen.
have to be.
Jen likes to be
invisible.
Patrick Durkin sometimes too. So
Well, she makes a good Patrick.
yeah. So
Okay.
however you guys want to handle that, I'm good with it. And so I'm visiting the home of Charles Matthew in Texas. I've been on the road from North Carolina the last couple of days, and it's been really exciting because I've been driving with a CT75 right behind me and two CT35s as well. And I've had them all standing up while I drive. And there was a moment yesterday when I was allegedly going 84 miles an hour with a U-Haul behind me. And as I passed by this Louisiana state trooper, his wheels started to roll forward. I was like, uh-oh, this isn't good. And then he just stopped. He stopped. And, I can't say that that's the grace and ease of the towers, but I can say stuff like that's been happening to me all the time. Like things are just so smooth and so exciting. So living in the energy of these towers goes between little things like that being noticed to sometimes like hard things, like something came up. My son and I spent a week together and the towers were with us, and some stuff that he was angry about from his childhood came up and he let loose, and it was handled constructively. It was handled well. Like as a consequence of it coming up, we moved forward in life. So I've been experiencing things like that too. And then some of you may have seen the video where my mind was blown, and I've experienced that too. And it happens a little bit. Like yesterday, I was dictating an email to Jen, and it was about the towers. And I went from like really clear and coherent, laying out the points we would make to and I was like, Jen, I think you understand the points by now. I'm going to stop and let you finish them. She's like, yeah, I got it. So all of that's been happening with these towers around, and I just can't wait to get them into your hands. I've noticed that a lot of you who are already involved with the project have been like calling forth more of the project. So, yesterday, 3 calls came in from Houston, and it was really obvious I'm going to Houston now. So next week, Houston. So if you're somewhere in the middle of Texas or between the top and the bottom right, let me know. It's a great time to visit. And if you want us to visit and the road show to come near you, tell us, and we'll do our best. So I guess I'm kind of bubbling with enthusiasm today because there's so many things going on. Yeah, let me slow us down and say hi to Nico. And Jen, I didn't even get to the document with questions, so I don't know if you've got them to feed to Nico or Nico's got them, or I'm supposed to play a role. But where do we go from here, guys?
Well, I think I can open that up, and I want to know, Nico, do you have some of those questions in front of you that you could go through, or do we want to open it up to people right now, maybe?
I don't have them in front of me, but I did go through them, and I did look through them. So yeah, maybe you can ask me or Patrick. I'm good with that. So
Okay, cool. All right.
All right. Jen, I got this new small laptop, so I think it's your turn to step into the spotlight.
Great. All right. Well, let's open it up for some other people in the meantime, so I can get that document open, Patrick. And
okay, cool.
Anybody have questions?
Yeah. Anyone have a live question? Here's one coming in the chat. For those who purchase the large towers, where are they placing them? Can they be in your home? If in a public place, people are going to take picture of them. And I heard on a previous call that you should not take pictures of them. Awesome. Nico, you want to jump in on that?
yeah, sure. So for the big towers, obviously you want to put them inside your home, right? You do not want a tower to sit in any freezing or any hot weather. So obviously they go inside your home, and yeah, they're a part of a part of your family. and yeah, find a good place for it. I've seen them sit in Belgium in people's living rooms. I've seen them in yoga rooms. I've seen them in meditation rooms. It's where you feel called to put the tower that works for you. And what Patrick mentions, it is important. So especially with the big towers, we do not want to take a picture of them that then gets shared publicly. That's why oftentimes you might see quite a bit of pictures of smaller towers that people have, and that's okay. But the big towers, right, they have a big range and they have a big energy field. So if somebody has a picture, they can be tuned into and targeted. So yeah, but yeah, any place in your home that you feel called.
Can you
Awesome.
say that again about why not to take a picture? Because you broke up a little bit as you were speaking, so some of us missed it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So don't take a picture and share it publicly, because they can be tuned in then and it could be attacked if they wanted to. Right? It's like, I don't know if you know about remote viewing, etc. Like if they have coordinates, right, they can log into that. Right?
Cool. Anybody else with a live question?
I do. So just to piggyback on that, is it only the large towers you don't want to take pictures of?
Yes, good question. I don't think they're necessarily, quote unquote, going to put their effort to come after small towers, right? So, but in general, Harald always recommends like don't post any pictures. But I know, for example, like Yvonne, she has her sitting in the interview now. She also has a 75 and a 220 in her home, which you can instruct them to protect the smaller tower. And I'll probably be showing mine once I'm in a range of a bigger tower, right? But in general, yeah, don't show it if you don't wanna risk it, but especially for the big towers. Right? Good question.
I think we want to keep it low key, and we're building a master document with where the towers go and what people who own the towers feel about visitors. So like, for example, somebody just south of the North Carolina border in Georgia has just purchased a 220. And one of the reasons that she did it is to serve all of us. Like, it's not just for her. And she welcomes anyone in our community to visit. And she has a specific requirement, which is if you come to her home, you agree to shut off your electronic devices. Like, she's very EMF sensitive and she doesn't want that energy. Eileen's clapping. Yeah, that's what she needs to feel supported. And so anybody's welcome to visit. And you can have a 35 or a 75 or a 220. And if you welcome people to visit you, we'll put you on our map. And then when somebody near wants to visit, maybe you'll meet a best friend for life. That's our hope, is to, connect up the network. And, we're going to be traveling around the country a lot. Like, I thought I was going back to Texas to settle in for a season, but it looks like I'm going back to Texas to pick up some towers and buy a trailer and hit the road. So, we're going to be floating around, and we want to know where you are and what kind of visits you want, and whether you want to host an event, you have people to invite, or you just want to meet us, or you want to share your towers with other people in the public. And that document's not going to be publicly posted. Like, we're going to be the network for it, and we're going to protect your identities and the locations. We're not going to put that stuff out publicly. We might generally, like I just did, like in Georgia on the northern border, just south of North Carolina, like that's specific enough. Nobody else needs to know more than that. Great. Somebody's asking about, I'm assuming NY means New York. So we have one, a 220 going in Vermont. That's going to cover all of New York City. So down the New York, Long Island area. But we're still looking for a 220 to go out toward Buffalo and Rochester, and Syracuse. Those areas are still open. The Pittsburgh area could hit that from the south going up. There's a line from Buffalo through New York City to Long Island that we consider to be very important. And we want to encourage as much ownership there as possible. There you go.
Yeah, I did create a map that I asked Harald about, where we can show how much coverage there is for big towers that, you know, we could share on this call, just if people in general want to know, is there already support in my area? So what I did is I made it in a way so you cannot, because he did tell me you do not want to show the exact location of where the tower is at. So I kind of made it with polygons to where at least you can see if where you live, you already have coverage of a large tower.
Great. Are you in a position to share that?
Yeah, you want me to do it now?
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah,
think I think
definitely.
it's exciting for people. And
Yeah,
Margaret, thanks for your question. I'm holding it. I see it there. Thanks.
Yeah, let me share this. So this is the public version. Can you see it?
Mm,
It's coming up. Okay. Cool. Yep, oh, there you go. Okay, so Florida up above Orlando and Tampa. Then we have the one that's in the Georgia and North Carolina area. And then Texas is 98% covered, guys. We've got multiple locations with multiple towers going in Texas, which is really great. We're looking for one down in that gap in between New Orleans, Mobile, Tallahassee, Pensacola. One down there would really fill things in super nicely. And then when we're going out west, we get really close to Phoenix, but we're not quite there yet. And we've got Sedona covered, right? Sedona's inside the edge. No, it's outside.
No, it's outside. Yes.
Right.
Beacon
So
Plain.
So yeah, so one in Sedona will get the whole Phoenix down to the Mexico border and up to Colorado. I'm really excited that we have everything west of there. Like we've got Vegas and San Francisco and Sacramento and LA and San Diego. Like not only are those all covered now, but they're starting to be covered multiple times. So we're starting to have we have multiple 220s in the LA area now. Another important area that we're looking for is going to be up toward Seattle and Oregon, Washington, up toward Vancouver. So we're sure that will come into. It's been kind of interesting to watch the map unfold. There's been a real obvious unfolding in the way the towers are connected. I've got my screen blocking. Okay, and then there's one up in New England. You guys can see that. It's in Vermont and it's covering all those areas. That gets Montreal and New York City with one tower, which is really, really amazing to me. And then of course the top half of the country matters too. It's just slower. So we feel more like the towers are unfolding us than that we're really have much influence or control over how this is going, and it's actually really fun.
All right. Just wanted to share that.
There's a
Awesome.
couple questions in the chat, Patrick.
Yeah, I'm on my way to Margaret's question right now. So she's considering getting a large one to put at her cabin, which is shared by over 100 family members. I do not trust that none of those people or their friends would not take pictures of it. Is this a deal breaker for that location?
Ideally, you wouldn't, right? And I would hope that people, come into your cabin and you would tell them, right, to not do that they wouldn't. and maybe there's a room it can be put that can be locked. I don't know what the situation is. It also depends where's the location of it. Is it already covered on the map by a bigger tower? Because another thing we can do to get an extra layer of security is we could instruct other towers that have coverage there to help protect it, just in case.
Yeah, it's not covered right now. It's in the mountains east of Salt Lake City,
Okay.
between Park City and Salt Lake City.
Now, I feel that that's an area that's going to fill in really fast because we have somebody there that is basically receiving 6 CT220s that are going to go placed. And right now it's more St. George type area and then up into Reno. But I feel some of those towers are going to migrate eastward to where we get coverage.
Okay, Susan's asking a question related to what Margaret did, so I'm going to go to this one first and then I'll scroll up. Why should you not take photos of the tower? And if changing technology is issue, and if so, how is that? I'm not sure I understand that question. Are the 75s protected against pulsing 5G, at least within the house, or is this something only the 220s and above can provide? Susan, maybe you could add more clarity. 75 as protection with pulsing 5G as compared to a 220.
Patrick, you just went in and out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, of course. I'm just looking to bring the question forth. So the first half of it, I'm not sure what it's asking, but the second half is clear. 75s protected against pulsing 5G, or is this something only the 220s can provide?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we'll cover that. We're going to talk quite a bit about range today because there is some confusion there with people. I feel we have to go deeper into that, and it's something I can address there. The short answer why you shouldn't take a photo is people can tune in and attack the tower if they wanted to, which is especially important with the big towers because they provide so much support to just not take that risk. And I will cover the other question when we talk about the range, Patrick, if that's okay.
Okay, sure. So going up one, did you get sponsorship for all these big towers you'll be putting in America? We stretched is what we did to get this container to the US. We stretched ourselves as far as we could, because to open up the country, Harald really wanted to have a substantial amount of energy go at once. He didn't want to send 135 or 175 to the country. That's not the highest benefit. So we haven't been sponsored, but there's been a great example. Nico, you could probably talk about it a little bit in Holland, where Harald has actually made a tower that's 420 centimeters tall. So that's like 13 feet. And in Holland, how did they go about getting that, Nico?
Well, that was done by crowdfunding. And for those of you that want to find out more, I highly recommend watching the interview with Yvonne Ross, who's the coordinator for Holland. It's full of amazing testimonials and experiences. And there's also the 4-meter tower, which I started to feel through her tower, and the energy started to come through, which was fun for me at least. But what they did is they did a crowdfunder. So what they did, because that one is like 44 or 45,000 euros, and Harald pretty much offers that at cost. It's just so expensive because it is, it's custom work. A carpenter, and then you need those ginormous glass bottles. You need all that water. There's a really, really big crystal in it. So Harald really wants those rolled out. So he's pretty much gave it at cost, but it was still 44,000 euros. So what Yvonne did is she reached out to all the big tower owners in Holland, and she raised about 33,000 euros or something in that initial run, and then they had a crowdfunder with other members and throughout the country that then financed to have that big tower in the center of Holland, which of course everybody with a tower and with a big tower benefits from. And it's something I would highly encourage in the US too, that we're all in this together, and we're not just trying to protect us individually from this or that. We're building an energetic network. We're building a grid for the future for humanity. So yeah.
Cool. So, some of us are blessed with flow in one way and some in another. If your blessing is that you have millions of dollars and spending $55,000 or $50,000 on a 13-foot tower is something that would be easy for you, we'd be happy to work with you to bring that to your area. It's not about profit. It's about having the energy of that tower support everything else. And that's why Harald makes that available, and the Wellness Enterprise is following suit on that those biggest towers are available at cost. Like whatever it takes to get it here, we'll just get it here. And if one person or a group of people can pay that bill, we'll get right on it.
Harald's making some 6-meter ones right now, which are close to 18, 20 feet.
Right on. Okay, so Susan's still hanging around with the photos question, which is perfect because we want to make sure we get clarity to everybody. So let's get back, and this time I'll read it right off the page. Sorry, wondering why photos should not be taken of towers. Is this something to do with technology interference from outsiders, i.e. a photo can fall into the wrong hands and alter the technology? Or am I confused and misunderstood a previous explanation?
Okay, so what it is about is an energetic attack. Right. So if you have a picture of something, I don't know how many of you know about remote viewing, but it's the ability to tune into a particular location, right, through coordinates, right? This is something that could be done by a psychic or somebody trained in that area if they have a picture, right? Just like if you go to a psychic and give them a picture of your pet or of somebody, you can tune into that energy field. So if a photo is there, it's almost like an energetic address for your tower that then can be tuned into and could be hit with an energy weapon.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Charles, do you have any experience around remote viewing that would help us understand that more?
In a real technical way, not really. All right. But what it has to do, it has to do with tuning into the energy of the photographic emulsification materials as it's being made, and there's an imprint in there, and that's about all I know.
Okay, fair enough. While we have you, so I just arrived yesterday. You got introduced slowly. We left the towers out in the truck for a little bit before bringing them inside, and Charles has some very powerful crystals in here. So maybe tell us a little bit about your experience of the arrival, and then how we've gone until we've got 2 towers here sitting in front of us.
The experience was a lot of in and outs, where all of a sudden I'd get this feeling to go into a cocoon, like sitting or standing or laying, and I'd be worked on. And that happened, oh gosh, half a dozen, maybe a dozen times that were really, really visible to me. And I'd noticed changes within my body sensations, within the function of my body, within what was itching before, stopped itching, just little things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And just really being at ease, letting go of a lot of old pain and old limiting beliefs and old ways of doing things, and saying, I'm making a choice that's different. And with this choice, it means that I'm doing it with ease. And so far, that's what's been happening. My life has been changed around real dramatically with some of my old habits that aren't real nasty, but I have a lot of boxes around for my crystals. And someone would say, well, how can you fill up a bedroom with boxes? Well, I said, there it is. And Patrick goes, whoa.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so Charles has been living here alone for a long time. And having somebody come in to live is like, that's disruptive. And when you,
Well, it's disruptive and it's fun. And who's been giving me a profound example of this is my dog. Patrick, my dog's is named Ele, E-L-E. Okay, and Blue is Patrick's dog. And they're here and they're just best of friends, and they've been in their mind and licking each other and chasing each other and sleeping with each other and all this and that and sharing food. I think they've been sharing food.
not
if they-
sharing foods,
okay.
but they did go chase the coyotes together last night. Which is
Oh,
good, because
gosh.
my dog would have done it alone, and Ele got dragged along.
If I hear the coyotes going, I normally bring Ele in the house.
Yeah,
And that's cool. But yeah, just really profound. And these are only the little itty bitty ones, okay? And I want to start with a little itty bitty one, because I want to take notes and journal and that type of thing, to find out some of the differences that happen, and so I can document it and be able to talk more about it. And I'm starting off with a smaller one, because that way there I don't have to go 200 miles or 300 miles to be outside the radius.
yeah, I love that. I keep walking in here and Charles is back in meditation. He's
Mhm.
like, oh, it feels really good.
Well, it's kind of hard to talk then, you know?
Yeah. So this sparks another experience I had on the way down. So I've been waiting. I have this chiropractor over in North Carolina, and I've been waiting for the towers to come so I could take it to he and his wife to experience. And I didn't get a tower until they took way too long when we didn't bring them in the container. We tried a couple and it was forever. And so I got them right before I left Asheville. So literally the only way I could make it work was I had to ask the chiropractor and his wife if I could come to their house instead of the office. And I came with the U-Haul. You know, it was like the last thing I did in town. And I took a CT75 in, and it was, you know, probably the most fun appointment I've ever had with anything in my life, because all I did was put it on the table and say, what do you feel? And they just started talking, because they're really energy sensitive and aware, and they're talking. And you know, we shared experiences back and forth. They were very aware of the energy. And I said, hey, you know, I've been told that there's like an on-off switch in these things where you lie them down or standing up. And I haven't experimented with it. I was like, can we experiment? They're like, yeah. So I took the 75 and I laid it down, and we all had the sensation of snow falling. Like it was like the party stopped. It wasn't that the warmth went away. It was that the party stopped, and we all had the same sensation of like this dropping down. And I was like, you want to put it back up? They're like, yeah, put it back up. And, you know, we felt it lift back up. So I left there, and by the time I got to New Orleans, I had an email from them, and it was which towers they want and when they want them, and their plan for getting them. And it was like, it's so fun and so satisfying to be around these. And it's fun. Like, it's one thing to say there's an on-off switch, but then to actually lay it down and feel it. It changes my experience of it. It changes my excitement in being in this conversation with you now that I'm having real experiences with the technology. Super fun. So it's been fun to watch Charles and to watch his meditations. Do we have plans to invite Harald Thiers to meet the U.S. Cosmic Tower community online in the near future?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll be leaving Egypt next week, Thursday, and I'm actually going to Belgium for 5-6 days, and Harald is then touring through Belgium, so we're going to meet up. And then he also wants me to interview him, so we're going to be doing that, and then we at least will get him a virtual you know, on a Zoom call. So yeah, and he's very interested how things are going, and yeah, he wants to meet everyone.
So you know, let it be known that I would like to magnetize Harald to the US. So the way
Well, they still have that vaccination requirement for the US. You have to be fully vaccinated to be allowed in if you're a foreign national.
that's going to make the magnetization process tougher. But I still want to do it. We actually started the conversation yesterday about ordering the next container. So, you know, as the containers come here and the energy spreads, we'll just keep our fingers crossed that we can bring him in person. But if we can't bring him in person, we'll bring the towers and we'll bring him on Zoom. And there will be constant opportunities to share with each other. Nico, along those lines, are you ready to launch yet the second Telegram group? Are you ready to talk about that, or you want to hold that back a little longer?
No, I can talk about it. So we'll probably do it this week here. So the original Telegram group for the United States is set up to where, you know, not everybody can send messages. It's done like that on purpose because we want to be able for everybody to see the important announcements that we have, and then, you know, and it not getting lost in the shuffle because there's too many messages there. And that's also what they've done in Holland and what really worked for them. But now that we're actually in the phase where all of you will be receiving your towers very quickly, we want your feedback, we want your questions in real time. So what I'll be setting up is, like we have in Holland, it's a private Telegram group where everybody can ask their questions or put their testimonials in. That is a lot more interactive, but it will be a separate group from the public group. So we can keep the public group for all the important announcements and updates. And then for all the tower owners and enthusiasts, we'll have the second group where we can interact with you.
That's great. A reminder from a phone call that I had earlier today, even if your tower is not to you yet, you're probably starting to experience some changes. And I want to encourage you to double, triple, quadruple up on the minerals that you take and to pay particular attention to your hydration. This person that I talked to said she'd had a headache for 2 days when focusing on the tower. And I don't think suffering is part of it. Like maybe a little spacey lightheadedness, like I've modeled that for us and continue to model that for us, but not pain, not suffering. So if you're having pain or suffering, ask the tower to work with you on that, and please increase your minerals and increase your hydration. Like really, really focus on that. Nico, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, for all of you that have bought a tower, we did an integration call specifically around this with, you know, the tower buyers. So if you bought a tower and you do not have a replay of that recording, please send an email to support@thewellness enterprise and Jen will get it to you.
Great. Yeah, it's an important topic. Okay. Yeah, Charles.
I yesterday when Patrick and the tower showed up, I had a corn on the bottom of my right foot, and it was really, really hurting. Every step I took, it hurt. It went away last night.
How long has that been there?
This one's only been here about 3 months, maybe 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And about roughly 3 weeks ago, I started putting the nano cream on.
Yeah, sour cream.
And that helped quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just real quick. Oh, and there were sharp pains in there from time to time, and I went, whoa, this has my attention. And it was just some guidance going, okay, that's an issue, you got to clear it out, you have to clear it out. And I got it. Okay,
That's awesome.
so I was already having that interaction within 24 hours.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay, Nico, does placing a second 220 in the same location increase the range or protect the first one in the same location?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let's talk about range. When we talk about the 220 having a range of 500 miles in diameter, so 250 miles in each direction, see it as a working area of where the cosmic tower can send energy, and since it's scalar wave with little to no loss. So if something's needed within that radius, the tower can send energy there. Now, every tower does have a limited amount of energy available. So the way to look at it is like closer to the tower, the field is going to be stronger and more consistent, right? To a certain range out. And that would basically, and that depends on the load. You have to look at the total energy, the total distortion that's in there, geopathic, 5G, Wi-Fi, all of that. Let's say you have 100 energy units of distortion energy, and a tower brings in 10 energy units. You would need 10 towers to bring the total energy in to keep a consistent, healthy field in there. That's why when you're closer to the tower, the effect is more powerful and it's more constant. But that does not mean that if there's something within that range that is happening, or a smaller tower needs support and that tower is called upon, it can send a portion of its energy to that location to help with that, right? So just see the range that we give you as the working range, where it can affect. But then each tower has a limited amount of energy. So close to the tower, you get a constant, consistent field that is not as large as the working area that is smaller. I hope that makes sense.
You guys, I've been, feeling into this myself, and it feels like when I'm in the working range, like if I put my focus on the tower, then I feel it. And
Yeah.
I can kind of go like two ways in my general feeling. Like I can be like cruising down the road in my life, unaware of the tower consciously, but feeling kind of high and like I'm in a bubble of floating, like feeling really great. And then I can also fall out of that. It's like I forget my consciousness on the tower and there's not enough energy there. And if I fall out of it, I'm getting so used to living in it. Then I put my focus back and I'm like, like right now I'm looking at a CT75 and there's an instant like reinforcement of that bubble. So that's the way I'm experiencing it. So hopefully hearing it in different ways helps people.
Yeah, because like if you listen to the Yvonne Ross interview, they anticipate Holland's a small country and they do a lot of 5G and a lot of experimentation. I mean, they're really getting hit hard over there. They're going to need, Harald thinks, about close to 150 big towers to get everything neutralized, right? So the same for major cities. If you're up in nature somewhere in North Carolina, or you're in New York City, the amount of energy of distortion is vastly different between both locations.
Right on. Susan jumped back into the chat to let us know she got it on the photo thing. So thank you, Susan. I'm glad we cleared that up. Do we have a global plan beyond the US?
Well, we as humans don't really plan that. The cosmic tower, as Harald will tell you, it has a consciousness of like rolling itself out. So the United States was next. I know Harald has been moving into Spain and then into Turkey, but for right now there are no human plans outside Europe and the United States. So we'll see where they go next.
Yeah, and we're looking for strong energy of leadership around Canada and Mexico, and we will just naturally partner. It will just naturally happen. So we'll just work together, and it's kind of like Yvonne from Holland helping us with the video of the testimonials of what's going on over there. She has more experience than we do, and she's so thankful to give it to us. And so everybody in the project globally, all the leadership, just wants more countries to be stronger. So if you have a resource, a connection, an invitation, a door you can open in a different country, let's just open it and whatever resources are needed, that it seems like they're just guided to be provided. Okay, how would someone know if a tower has been attacked by a negative energy weapon? Is there a way to have the tower brought back if it is attacked?
Yeah, so first of all, it's always about your own experience, and you'll notice you'll have your own way of tuning in, and you have your own way of feeling the energy. So ultimately, I see us as the guardians, as the stewards of the physical towers, right? They're our babies, even though they're guiding us and they're helping us. For us, it's important to keep them safe. So the good news is, if you have any suspicion or you have any questions, hey, is like, for example, my tower, I traveled so much. It traveled through a lot of locations in the US. It went to Mexico, it went to Egypt. I took it in the pyramids. I've been taking it into all the temples and cloaking it as I bring it in. So at some point I was, hey, I want to make sure that it's okay, even though it felt okay with me. So I just had Harald check into that. So that's a scenario where you do want to take a picture. So Harald's people can actually remotely check your tower with a picture. So if there's any doubts along your journey, send us a picture and we'll get it to Harald, and he'll have his people check in and give you back a report. If there's any repairs that need to be done, they usually can be taken care of remotely.
That's where that remote viewing works on our side, huh? Yeah.
Well, technology is always neutral. It's the intent of the human, of the intent of the being behind it, that determines whether it's beneficial or detrimental.
Nice. Jen, I think you might have something to share.
Yeah, I wanted to read a testimonial that a Cosmic Tower customer wrote in. It really moved me, and I think this person is maybe still here, and she can chime in if she'd like, but and this person lives in California. So she says, here's proof my Cosmic Tower is energetically here. And she sent this, I think this was the day after they arrived in Texas.
So energetically here, yeah, meaning they're not physically in California yet, but they're in the US and she's feeling it.
Yeah,
Right on.
they're energetically on the continent. Every year I have measure the energy of my property and upgrade it. We moved here in 2018 and he got it up to 3,800,000,000 in June 2018. The March 2022 reading was 10,100,000,000 when he started with on February 18th, 2023. He did the work in the energy readings, and on March 8th, 2023, the reading was 16,100,000,000. Almost the span that it has reached in 5 years of upgrading is what it did in 3 weeks. The tower and I are constantly talking, even the conversation about his name. That's another story.
That she had an experience of naming her tower. That was great. So
And it's very common when people decide, hey, I have to, get a tower, I want to get a tower, that the soul comes and visits, right? So we hear that quite a bit all over Europe. We get those reports, and even here in the United States, saying you're one of them. So don't be surprised if you get a visit.
awesome. Marcia asked, will we get a paper on how to take care of our tower?
We have those instructions on the Wellness Enterprise, and there's really nothing to quote unquote take care on from a maintenance point of view or anything. There's just some considerations as far as placement, and then ensuring that you don't physically drop it or damage it. But other than that, there's no real maintenance or care that has to be done for them. You don't have to give them a bath or anything.
And a word about the Wellness Enterprise philosophy on communication is to create one source place for all the information and to keep sending people back there. Most people, when they get paper in the mail with something, they throw it away. And I, as the former chairman of a recycling committee in a town in Massachusetts, don't like participating in that. And then the words change and all this stuff. There's a lot of reasons not to do it. So we just put everything on the Wellness Enterprise. And if you go, it says Cosmic Tower right in the menus at the top. You can't miss it. And then underneath on the page, there's what's called custom tabs. And we just name the tabs that are there and give you everything you need. So anything you'd be interested in has been written about and published there. And we just keep putting more there. So just check back there if you're wondering about something. Of course, we're responsive to email and love communicating with you, and we put everything there. Becky asked if there's a brand of minerals that we prefer, and Jen has posted a link to the fulvic ionic mineral drops on the Wellness Enterprise. So a word about that. Those drops are $47 for a month's supply on the wellnessenterprise.com. If you buy them in Lavanya, LOVONYA, lavanya.com. There's no E in there, guys. LOVONYA. People just don't hear it well because we're used to hearing love with an E on it. But Lavanya, LOVONYA. Become a member of Lavanya, which is just $18 a month. I guarantee you'll be thrilled with the price that we have behind that closed door. And further, we are beginning to stock 12-pack cases of those minerals. So you can buy a year's worth instead of a month's worth. And that lets us really get the price even lower. So if you're dedicated to taking minerals for yourself, we like this brand because it meets Dr. Ben's standard. Dr. Ben Edwards is the founder of Veritas Medical. He's the guy I worked with in Lubbock, Texas, while I was stricken with Lyme disease that I don't have anymore. And he has a background as a medical doctor, like he's an MD, went to medical school. And then in 2011, he turned to functional medicine. So he's got a really broad, holistic perspective on things. And he's very thoughtful about that which he offers people. And I feel really great offering something that is both a wide spectrum of trace minerals and medically endorsed by a medical doctor, I guess is the precise way to say it. So we feel really great about those, and we're going to continue to work on dropping the costs. The idea is to work with the manufacturer to get something larger than 4-ounce bottles so that we can send you a larger container once a year or so, and you can use that to refill a smaller dropper. So that will continue to erode the price, but the price we've put in the Lavanya membership is phenomenal. We don't say what it is publicly. It's that good. I assure you, if you join Lavanya to find out, you'll love it. And for those that don't know, inside of Lavanya, in that one $18 membership, Zane, wave your hand for a second. So Zane, there's Zane. Zane's teaching Qigong once a month, and Nico's teaching emotional intelligence, and Charles is teaching about crystalline energetics. And Tara, who's not here today, is teaching about breath work. And so everything is designed while the tower is supporting you to get in flow to help you actualize with tools for $18 a month. It's a no-brainer. So get your minerals on Lavanya, become a member, have a lot more calls with us. The community is building, and you can imagine it's building kind of fast right now because we're giving so much value, and we'd love to see you there. And with all that said, if you have a favorite mineral that's broad-based, like it has a wide spectrum of trace minerals, take it. Take lots of it and keep taking it. There's nothing wrong with that. You just want to stay away from synthetics and move toward natural materials. An example would be if you're taking vitamin C, you want to see in the ingredients acerola cherry or camu camu or citrus, different limes and oranges and things like that. You don't want to see ascorbic acid. You don't want the man-made version of things. You want the nature-made version of things. So if it's coming from what nature made and it's made of that, that's what you want. Okay. Let's see. Can the towers? All right, this I got to do a little discernment of. Jen's feeding me a question, and I just want to make sure that this can go in a video. Well, Nico, I'm gonna throw it out there to you, and then we'll just see how you want to handle it. So, there's a couple parts here. Can the towers heal or transmute or neutralize the jabs? If so, what size tower? I'm beyond concerned about my loves. From what I heard, Harald explained it deactivates the ability to take over the body while in range of the tower, but does not remove the jab. Can you comment on that at all?
Yeah, that's what Harald has experienced with it, to where yeah, it can no longer be used to take you over as long as you're in the field of the tower, but no experience yet of them being removed from the body. So that's what Harald has to share on that.
Cool. And, let's be clear, if you have a medical question, see your medical practitioner. We're not here attempting in any way to heal, treat, or cure any disease. We're just sharing our experiences. Okay, let's talk about the torus field for a second, Nico. So this person's wrote in, I heard recently that counterclockwise is the direction of nature, and that clockwise is the man-made direction designed to, interfere with who we really are. What do we know about this and about the cosmic towers building a clockwise torus field?
Yeah, so first of all, to say one direction's nature and the other isn't, left implies right and vice versa. Right? You always have both directions. So by its very nature, a toroidal field is made up of two vortices that's been in opposite directions, right? But what is important to know here, and I think this related back to, because I think we went back and forth on this, to like, well, the Earth's spinning counterclockwise. Yeah, but you're talking about the physical. What we're talking about is on the subatomic level, right? Harald talks about how electrons spin, for a better word, if it's counterclockwise, how it's detrimental, and when it's clockwise, how it's beneficial. So if you look at the Earth's field, right, and you see only the physicality of the Earth, right, rotating counterclockwise, that doesn't mean that that's how the field is going, right? It's counterclockwise in the southern hemisphere and then going to a clockwise rotation. Now, I ultimately, with everything for the cosmic tower, I say do your own research, but have your own experience, right? Let that always be your guidance, because there is so much information out there, and this person says this and this person says that, and people take in all this information and we're up here in our head, right? And all this information kind of gives us indigestion. So have your own experience, see what nature does. We see nature thrive, we see animals thrive, we see people thrive, we see people being more harmonious. That to me tells me that it's a beneficial energy. Now, I've done quite a bit of research on this, and I can point you in some directions, but I'm also sure I don't know it all. I do my own research and I share that with you, but you be your own boss, you be your own authority, do your own research on it, right? Now, the Russians have done a lot around what they call torsion fields, which is similar to the toroidal. And I think they've done about 150,000 studies or so on it. And they actually they figured out that if on the subatomic, let's call it subatomic level for a better word, if it's counterclockwise, so they figured out that geopathic stress, Wi-Fi, mobile phones, and all that create that counterclockwise rotation. And they found out that is detrimental. So they actually back then already created devices that would neutralize that were verified and tested. They even went as far, I think it was Shaktov, in testing that if we have positive thoughts, It forms this clockwise rotation. We have negative and hateful thoughts. They measured it going counterclockwise in the human energy field. So both directions obviously exist, right? You have clockwise and counterclockwise. The way I look at it, with a counterclockwise spin on the subatomic level, basically your being loses energy to the space matrix, to the energetic matrix, while with a clockwise spin, it's taking in new energy.
Kirk points out that clockwise or counterclockwise is not inherent from the position of its own position, only from the position of the witness.
Yes, exactly. From where are you looking at it? Right.
Okay. This person asked, I missed the first part of the video. When can we expect our towers? So what I feel really clear about saying without a doubt is the milestones. So the milestone that we're at is communicating with the transportation company, and the communication is the towers are between Houston and Dallas. That's the milestone that we're at. When we get to Dallas, there's going to be a changing of trucks where we go from the 2 Dallas truck to the 2 our warehouse truck. And hopefully that is going to be seamless and just happen in a day. We've been asking them to book the second leg, and they won't do it until it gets there. So we couldn't communicate with them anymore. You know, I email them every day. They're gonna get tired of me, and they're going to deliver the container. That's their job, and they're doing a great job. You know, they're right on schedule from what they were hired to do. So everything's going just as it's supposed to, and with a little luck, we'll be with towers at our warehouse on Friday, and beginning to ship them right away. We are aware that some of you have illnesses, and I'm very hands-on as a CEO. I know who's really needy and needs support, and I'm aware of who those people are. Those towers are going in the mail first. Like I'm going to be pulling those right to the top and getting them out the door, and still try to get them all out at the same time. But those are going to go on the mail cutoff the first time. So we're on it, and we can't make it go any faster, and we appreciate your excitement, and we're happy to take your questions like, when's my tower coming? It's a great dialogue. That's the milestone we're at, and we've got literally thousands of dollars worth of boxes sitting in our location, like ready to be packaged up and stuck in the mail. So we've been getting ready with everything that we can control, and everything that we can't control, we try to influence by just tapping it along. So it's going really, really well, and we're excited too. Is there a dose recommendation for children with the drops? So I forget what it says on the bottle, but it's like 1 dropper full once or twice a day is my recollection. And I've taken to not using the dropper anymore, and I just take my mineral bottle and I just take a sip from it. And it's a little sharp. I don't know if most people would have the tolerance for that I do, but I just want minerals in my body. And so every time I see it and I think about it, I just pick it up and take a little mini sip and put it back down. So experiment. I think magnesium in particular, but minerals in general, are super supportive for the body. You know, I think about my body, like if we look at this meat suit and we were gonna just on a really simple level, turning it into its elements like that, we'd have a bucket of water and a bucket of minerals. And that would have been Patrick. And so looking at that, I'm like, well, if I can keep flushing the water and I can keep adding the minerals, I probably have the best chance of having continued shot at decent posture and keeping my teeth, and, you know, more minerals in, more flushing water, like the tide. So that's the way I'm rolling with it. And I guess we'll find out if I live to a ripe old age, if that was a good way to do it or not. Okay, Nico, we're back to 5G again. So, you know, some questions, it's just like, we just go over them multiple times, and it helps us to get clarity as a community. So can the CT75 protect from 5G without the support of a CT220?
Well, again, there is no yes or no answer. If you're in New York, right, in a little apartment, or you live somewhere out, in nature, like in North Carolina, up in the mountains of a farm. Those are two totally different scenarios. So what it comes down to is you have to look at the energy. What is the total energy, for example, in your house from all the different distortions, and which tower can then bring enough energy to neutralize it all? And it's something you can tune into. You can dowse it, or whatever your way is to tune into that. That's another way to actually get the answer, but there's no rule of thumb there, right?
Right on. I recently had the privilege of a meeting in North Carolina with the Rhine Research Center, which studies paranormal activity, and they're connected to a group of sensitives across the country. And I'm going to continue to mature that conversation, but just the engagement of meeting them helps me with a greater level of understanding that the way we figure these things out is by accessing the people who are sensitive and kind of crowdsourcing their answer. So, even though Hope Fitzgerald is like a really neutral person and she does her best to step out of the way, her mom and my mom were friends in 1974. The chances of Hope giving a beneficial answer for something in my life it's pretty high. So I wouldn't want to go to Hope and say, hey, Hope, what does this do? And then Hope says something really big and then I publish that as truth. Like, that's not what we do, even though she's pretty neutral about everything she does. So we'll go to Hope and we'll ask her things and we'll count what she says as what matters. But what we want to do is take isolated conversations from different people who have different things that are developed more than others of us. Like one that's coming on for me, I've never been particularly strong or awesome at negative entities and dark energies and detaching them. Like I did develop an awareness with the use of alcohol and stopping and starting a bunch of times that in my own words, the way I would say it is, when I drink alcohol, it pops holes in my aura. So I'm taking 2 steps forward spiritually, and I'm taking 3 steps back if I have a drink. I don't really want to do that anymore. That's why I don't drink. And I can still have a drink. It's just there's a price that I pay for having a drink. So that's like my level of attunement and awareness. But there are people that offer those type of services, entity clearing, dark energy resolution, those type of things as a business. And those people, many of them have been doing it for a decade or two, and they're really sensitive to that stuff. Those people are experiencing that their work is getting a lot easier around cosmic towers. So let's ask that question of them, and let's report back to you many of those things. Like I've been asking you all to keep me in mind as the storyteller. So if you put your information and your experience in front of me, then I'll amalgamate it with everybody's and I'll bring it back to all of us. So we each have different aspects of developing these sensitivities, and whatever yours is, we want to know about it. And what others are, if it comes in coherent and clear and repetitively, then we share it. That's how we think about it. So we're over an hour, and we've caught up with the written in questions, and we're happy to stay a little longer and entertain more questions. It's up to you guys now. Does anybody have anything they want to share or anything that they want to ask about? Good. Okay, well, this is, I think the reason this is my favorite call yet is because 1, I'm surrounded by the tower energy, and 2, I'm grounded. So there've been moments of being a little high from the tower energy. So this has been a lot of fun for me. It's fun bouncing around with you guys, and it's fun having a deep and diverse conversation, having your questions and having your participation. It's really neat. I'm truly excited about this project, and I'm honored to get the chance to play a part in it. And I'm honored to know each of you and to have the privilege of interacting with you and being part of stewarding your tower into your life. So, you know, I have a great gratitude to share with you all. And thank you so much for being here and being part of this community. I still, it got worse, Nico, on this new laptop. I'm still not good at unmuting everybody. Oh, there we go. I found it. So it's a big chance to say goodbye unless anybody has a last question. I think we're done. So we'll see you guys on the next call. Thanks for being
Thanks,
here.
everybody.
Thank you so much. This has been
Bye-bye.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.